Hello and welcome. My name is Kim Tamaris. I'm an Access and Wellness Counselor for Ashford. I'll be the host of this session, leveraging an online space to create an employee experience. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, so I encourage you to post questions, comments in the chat, and also keep an eye out in the chat for a link for a helpful session feedback survey. Now I'm pleased to introduce you to Diana Boggan, Faculty Development and Coaching Specialist with the Ashford CETL Department.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Like Kimberly said, my name is Diana Boggan. I am with Ashford in the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning Department. You might have heard of us. I am a faculty development and coaching specialist, and I have worked on some projects that have formed our CETL website. So if you are a employee or staff with Ashford, or you are a faculty member, you've probably seen our website. And I wanted just to talk to you about how you can leverage your online space, whatever it may be, to create an engaging employee experience. And I just want to differentiate what, let's see, the right one helps. So when we talk about an engagement versus an experience, we're talking about what kind of employee experience you're making for either your faculty or just your regular employees. So if you think about engagement, maybe it's like a great places to work or a short-term, program that kind of gets your employees or your faculty engaged with your organization. So we would consider that like a short-term fix focused on perks to make people happy. An employee experience is kind of a long-term redesign that puts your users at the center of what you're doing. And this is kind of what we have been doing for the last year with the CETL website. It's a continual, process, and we're always looking for ways to improve it. So we wanted to kind of start with like a vision of what we want it to be. We want to think about the culture that we want to promote. We want to think about how we can help our users be productive. And of course, we want to have a positive and engaging user experience. So then when we think about vision, you want to think about the purpose. So why are you doing this? How are you doing this? What do you want your result to be? And what kind of vision statement do you have? So how do you want to connect what you're doing for your users, but that also relates back to your organization? How can you connect like business focused statements so that your workplace, your digital workplace, is representative of your overall goals for your department, your organization, and what you want your users to be able to do. So that's why you always want to ask those questions. Why am I doing it? How am I doing it? What is my result? And you really want to try to make objectives so that you know that your work is meeting those goals. So when we think about culture, you want to connect it to your organizational goals, like I said. And you can use your digital workspace to not just be reflective of your culture and of your organization, but you can also use it to shape it. So what do you want your culture to be? Is it what you want it to be? And how can you use the tools that are available to you to help transform what you want your culture to be? You definitely want to think about a culture of trust. You want to build trust with your users so that they can rely on the space that you're providing for them to have what they need and to be accurate and up to date. You also want to think about your culture of wellness. How are you making your digital space inclusive? How are you making an engaging environment for all of your employees, all of your users at whatever stage they are? So if they're new, if they're seasoned, you want to make sure that your digital space is helpful for everyone. And of course, if you are a supervisor of any kind, productivity is always in your mind. One thing that we looked at when we were going through the different stages of developing the CETL website was trying to transform our basic intranet, which is just, you know, a warehouse of information. And I'm going to show you some kind of examples of where we were and where we've come from. We wanted to transform it from that intranet to more of a digital workspace. We wanted something that could have the potential to be more collaborative, that we could really enhance and motivate productivity. And we were able to do that in some ways with other, connecting to other apps and tools and providing social aspects and trying to create that one-stop place that faculty can go to find everything they need. And when you're thinking about productivity, one thing you want to think about is choosing the right tools. So I have an instructional design background and technology background, and new technology things are awesome, but you always want to make sure that you're including it because it's the right tool, not just because it looks good. A user experience has an engaging user experience has a user-centric design. So you want to make sure you're always thinking about what the user needs, what you want them to be able to do, what you want them to have access to, but you want to make sure that they can get to it in a way that makes sense and creates a good experience, not a frustrating one. We want to avoid those. One thing that is very helpful is getting regular user feedback and trying to measure your results. So there's ways to do that in different online spaces. It really depends on what you're using. One thing that I think is important to remember whenever you're doing anything that is a user experience, you have to be willing to make modifications. So we have made lots of modifications based on feedback, based on, oh, we thought this would be a great idea, but then it turned out that maybe it wasn't. So we've kind of broken down our revamp of our website into phases so that you can always be improving your online space so that you don't have a static site. You should always be looking at ways to develop it, looking at different phases of development and see how you can improve that user experience. Some things that we did for the implementation of this plan for our new CETL site was, like I was talking about, we had a vision. We made sure that we were asking ourselves why, how, and what are we doing. If you're a faculty member with us, you know that we recently switched to a model of faculty caseloads, and we were trying to promote a faculty community of support with college supervisors, our department, and our scheduling team. And so we were thinking about that aspect as we were developing the CETL site. And obviously we want our faculty to be productive using this new site. So that was definitely part of our plan, and to always think about the user's experience. So what I want to do is I kind of want to show you where we were and how we kind of transformed it. We've gone through, this was our 2.0 site. We had a 3.0 site, and now our newest version. We went from basically a static site, and I'm going to share that with you. We had a static site that was just links, lots of links, and just one moment, switching. Kimberly, can you see, am I sharing my screen still?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, so we started off with this kind of static pages of links. Every page kind of looked like this, lots of links, and the organization didn't always make sense. We moved to a new site, and part of this is changes with SharePoint, which is what we use for our website, kind of forced us to make changes to what we were doing as well. So this was a better version. it had more important information on the front page. It had news, it had updates, it had these important links that were really easily accessible. It had calendar of events. But we were having difficulty incorporating some of our other pages into from our older site into our new site. SharePoint made more changes to their program, and we ended up with this modern SharePoint site. And we worked really hard on incorporating some of those ideas of building community, building engagement, and making it user-centric to build this new site that still has all of your important information on the front page. You have news, there's new ways to communicate. You'll see that if you go to one of our more focused pages, which was something that we put things into different groups that made sense, like if classroom resources make sense for what faculty need, and human resources, professional development. We broke those up into separate pages and tried to make them more engaging and interesting, other than just a wall of links. So when you come to the class, if you're looking for classroom resources, you're going to be able to find the things that you want the most. You're going to find your contacts, you're going to find the things that you link to the most. You're going to find those forms that you always need. And then we can start sprinkling in new things like linking to news items, new resources that become available. Now we have the ability to include video right on the page, and you don't have to open a new web browser. It can just play right there on the page for you. Some people take advantage of the ability to like, comment, and follow these pages. So you can see that questions are asked, and we try to answer as quickly as we can. Liking the page, you can also follow a page so that you get updates to that page. It's just a more grounded in user experience kind of grouping, so that you can find what you need when you need it, instead of trying to go through all of those links. We've also worked on connecting our faculty to their colleges. So you can go and find the department that you teach for, and you can find information related just to your department. You can find who your faculty that you report to or who support your department. You can find your CETL contacts, so you can always find your scheduler. You can always find your coach or your consultant. All of that information is provided to try to help build that community. You know, working online, sometimes that can be a struggle. So we're trying to connect our part-time faculty with our full-time faculty, with your faculty support specialists, your coaching and consultants, and connecting you with your scheduler, all of these things, plus all these resources, but we're trying to do it in a way that makes sense and is easy to use. So we use SharePoint, but I just wanted to point out that you can use any, going back to my presentation, give me just a moment. It doesn't have to be SharePoint. I would suggest that you keep in mind, it helps if I do the right one. If you're using a website, if you're using a Canvas site, some of our faculty use Canvas to organize their information just for their population of faculty. Whatever you're doing, just keep in mind how you can connect it to a vision, how you can promote the culture that you want your employees, your faculty to exhibit. How can you make your space be a motivator and encouraging for productivity? And how can you make it an engaging user experience? So think about what you want them to accomplish, what's going to be important for them, and always be thinking about what you can do to improve the user experience. just so that you're continuing to build your populations of faculty or employees, whatever it may be, that you're building their trust in the information that you're providing. You're giving them some buy-in as to why they should visit your online space. So that's my advice for using your own online space. And I did want to save some time for any Q&A. So if there are any questions, now would be the time to put them into the chat. I was not monitoring the chat, so if I missed any questions, I'm kind of looking through.
I didn't see any just yet, but I think one just came through.
You know, Becky, I don't know what the plans are for our website moving. I know that there may be some things that can be done with links and forwarding the link over so that you have a redirect, but I don't know the exact plans for that. The most difficult piece of this transition, thank you, Allison, is just depending on how much information you have. I think really it's organization. I feel like design will come, but it's organization and making sure that you're putting things together in logical places so that when someone is looking for information, it's very intuitive on how they find it. I feel like that's the most difficult piece. So mapping it out, grouping it, kind of categorizing things so that you are clear as to what qualifies as professional development, what qualifies as human resources. And I think that also don't bog down your pages with too much information. Avoid too much scrolling. If you have to create another page and link to it, that's better than just having an endless page to scroll. So that is my advice. Organization and a plan. Plans are important, right? Plans and objectives so that you know where you want to end up. And don't be afraid to make a mistake because you can usually fix it. Just keep trying. Thanks, Stephanie. Well, I feel like that is all that I have right now. I do have a handout that I will have on the website with just those tips and tricks on how to leverage any online space that you have.